نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد أحييكم بتحية الإسلام تحية من أهل الجنة تحية من عند الله مباركة طيبة وهي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. The theme of today's khutbah is مراقبة الله في السر والعلانية. That is supervision of Allah في السر والعلانية, in secret and as well in open. That is the theme of the sermon. And this supervision or being careful of Allah in secret and as well in public or openly is one of the moral characters of Islam, and it's one of the things which if someone attain, the person will be known as someone who has achieved a great rank and a great rank from the ranks of the deen, and as well one of the great position of ubudiyya, that is servitude to Allah, the Lord of the universe. It's something which the heart is, when the heart accepts it, that heart, or when someone accepts it, doing that, being watchful of, being careful of Allah, the person will be recognized as someone who is obedient to Allah. And it's something which when someone do it, the person will have closeness to Allah Azza wa Jal. And this muraqabah, being careful of Allah, it serves as a protection and as well as a shield from every forms of immoralities. And a part of immoralities, adultery, homosexual, lesbianism, and all forms of atrocities, evils. If someone have this muraqabatullah, that person is protected and shielded from all these forms of things. And it serves as a medicine and treatment of all sinful acts, and as well destructive sins. It is a medicine and treatment of destructive sins. If you have muraqabatullah, you will be careful regarding disobedience of Allah. You will be careful regarding involving yourself in destructive sins, which the Prophet ﷺ tells us to abstain from them. That is al-mubiqat. And having this muraqabatullah, observing or being careful of Allah, if you have that, you will live in this world happily. You will live in this world with a well-being and happiness. And as a result of that, Allah will elevate you to the ranks or to the peak of Jannah. That is mother al-muraqabah. As a result of muraqabah, you achieve all these things. And what is this muraqabah? Being careful of Allah, which we are talking about, it is mother persistence, or being determined, to be determined that, and have the knowledge and certainty that indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is actually looking at you. He's watching you inward and outward. Allah is watching you, for you to understand that Allah is ever present with you. Allah is watching you in and out. Within your room, Allah is watching you. Outside your room is watching you. Within the masjid, Allah is watching you, is observing you. And outside the masjid, within your community, or outside or anywhere you think people don't know you, know that Allah is observing you and Allah knows everything about you. For that, we have to be very conscious of Allah regarding to this mother al-muraqabah. We have to employ this muraqabah to ourselves, because it will help you abstain from sins, destructive sins, and so many atrocities. Allah mentioned in the Quran that inna Allah mada la yakhfa alayhi shay'un fil ardi wa la fis sama, that indeed Allah, there is nothing hidden from him on the face of this earth, in the earth, deep down the earth, wa la fis sama, and as well nothing is hidden from Allah in the heavens. And this muraqabatullah is of two types. One of the types is mother, is for you to be careful of Allah. I don't want to use the translation of you observing Allah, because you can't observe Allah. Allah is not, you can't even see Him, let alone observing Him, but you have to be careful of Him at all the time. For you to be careful of Allah, hidden and as well in apparent, hidden and open. For you to be careful of Allah in a place where you think nobody knows you, but you have to put it in your mind, at the back of your mind, that Allah is there watching you. Allah is ever present with you. And as well in open, in a place where you are in the midst of people who knows you also. You have to be conscious of Allah regarding to that. This is one of the types of mother being careful to Allah. Then the second observance of Allah is that أَنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى رَقِيبٌ عَلَيْكَ, for you to be sure, to know, to determine in your mind that yes, of course, Allah is observing you. Allah is watching you. Because Allah mentioned in the Quran that Allah is observing everything. And in another ayah, indeed, Allah is observing you, is watching you, is ever present and taking an account of everything of yours. As for you being careful to Allah, which is that number one, as I mentioned, is for you to know that mother, that indeed Allah is aware of everything you do, from your speech, from whatever you utter, from your action. Allah knows everything. From your speech, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ, there is nothing you utter from your mouth except that there are angels that are documenting it, being mother good or bad. That is why the Prophet ﷺ advised us, for us to mother whatever we are uttering, we should not look at it insignificant. He mentioned in that hadith that mother, إِنَّ الْعَبْدَ لَيَتَكَلَّمُ بِالْكَلِمَةِ مِنْ ماذا من رضوان الله لا يلقي لها بال يرفع الله بها درجاته وإن العبد ليتكلم بالكلمة من سخط الله لا يلقي لها بال فيهوي بها في جهنم. That a servant, a person might utter a word without him paying attention to that particular word, and as a result of that word, Allah will elevate him, will elevate his rank in Al-Jannah. And a servant might utter a word, a displeasing word regarding a displeasing word, without him paying attention or looking at the significance of that word. As a result of that, Allah will sink him down into the hellfire. We ask Allah to protect us, and we ask Allah to guide our lips from regarding to our utterances. That is regarding to mother utterance, what you utter from your mouth. As well, your action, whatever you are doing, mother by action, your khams salawat, your fasting, your feeding, whatever you are giving in the cause of Allah, Allah is actually watching, and Allah will not deprive you your reward. Or evil action, whatever you are doing, don't think Allah is not seeing you. Allah is actually watching you. يَعْلَمُ خَائِنَةَ الْأَعْيُنِ وَمَا تُخْفِي الصُّدُورِ. Allah knows everything. He's seeing everything. He knows what is running within the heart. Also regarding to your belief, Allah knows what is running in your mind. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُ. Allah said, mother should be rest assured that Allah knows what is within your chest, what is within, what is running in your mind. يَعْلَمُ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُ. You should be aware of that. Be careful of Allah regarding to that. Allah sees us. He's seeing everything. You should not think He does not see you while you are disobeying Him. Why? Because who are the sin? He sees everything. A sin that nothing hinders His sin. Inward and outward, there is nothing that's on the face of this earth except that Allah is seeing that. And don't think Allah is not hearing you when you are conversing, when you are having a secret discussion. Allah knows, Allah is hearing everything. Huwa Sami'. He hears everything. Subhana man wasi'a sam'uhu al-aswat. Glorify is to Allah, the one whose hearing encompasses every sound. There is nothing we utter, even if you utter it at the same time. Allah hears. The discussion of someone has never interrupted the hearing of Allah. Nothing has ever interrupted the hearing of Allah. You talk, I talk. Every person on the face of the earth sits and discuss something except that it has been documented. Nothing has ever interrupted Allah from hearing anyone. And you should not think, or do you think He does not know what you are thinking about in your chest? Allah knows everything. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُ يَعْلَمُ خَائِنَةَ الْأَعْيُنِ. Even the stealing of the eyes, Allah is aware of that. وَمَا تُخْفِي الصُّدُورِ. And what is hidden in the mind, Allah knows everything. يَعْلَمُ السِّرَّ وَأَخْفَى. He knows what is hidden and what is beneath that. If there is anything beneath hidden, also Allah is aware of that. And Allah mentioned in the Quran also that He sees you when you arise at night to observe night prayer when everyone is sleeping and in a secret place or in an empty place that no one sees you. Allah sees you. Allah knows everything about you. Even if you're in the darkest of the darkness, Allah sees everything of you. And for you to also be rest assured that indeed Allah is hearing you, a hearing that nothing hinders it. Whatever statement you mention, Allah, or whatever you utter, Allah hears it. Allah hears you. He mentioned in the Quran, أَمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّا لَا نَسْمَعُ سِرَّهُمْ وَنَجْوَاهُمْ. Do they think that we do not hear their secret discussion and their private conversation? Do people think of that? Think like that? Bala. Of course, we hear those things. There's both secret and private conversation. Allah said He hears that. وَرُسُلُنَا لَدَيْهِمْ يَكْتُبُونَ. They are our messengers at being that our messengers that are responsible for accounting whatever mother whatever they are uttering or their action and whatever they are having as a thought. Allah hears everything, He knows everything. Bala wasna ladayhim yaktubun. What is actually meant is that mother, Allah says He hears that. For that, you should be careful of what you utter from your mouth. Because ma yalfidhu min qawl illa ladayhi raqibun atid. They document everything. Everything is documented. And whatever you utter, you should know that you will be accountable for or against on the day of resurrection. For that, whatever, if you want to utter a word, say the truth. You say the right thing, or the best thing for you is for you to be silent. That is why the Prophet ﷺ also advised us in another hadith. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكن خيرا أو ليصمت. Whoever believe in Allah and believe on the day of resurrection, regarding the day of resurrection, then that person should say the truth or you should be silent. You must not talk. Because whatever you utter will be counted against or for you on the day of resurrection. As for being careful of Allah or watchful of Allah is of three aspects. You know that Allah is watching you regarding your action, regarding your utterances, your expression, and regarding your thoughts. Allah is watching you. For that, whatever that is hidden in your mind, that is running in your mind, Allah is actually aware of that. That is why the Prophet ﷺ, when Angel Jibreel descend to him or appear to him, when the Sahaba was at his mother, was sitting before him, Angel Jibreel appeared in a human form, asking him regarding three stages of the deen. Because in the deen we have three stages. We have Islam, we have Iman, which is the second stage, and we have Ihsan, which is the peak of the religion. Angel Jibreel asked the Prophet ﷺ regarding the peak of the stage, which is Al-Ihsan. Regarding to Al-Ihsan, what is that? What is Ihsan? The Prophet ﷺ responded to Angel Jibreel that مَاذَا تَعْبُدَ اللَّهَ كَأَنَّكَ تَرَاهُ. For you to worship Allah, to devote yourself worshiping Allah as if you are seeing Allah, seen with no veil. He now said, mother, as long as you are not seeing Allah, then you should be rest assured that Allah is seeing you. Allah is actually watching you, He knows everything. And Allah seeing you is for you to know and be certain that Allah is actually looking at you, is hearing you, and He's watching you. He knows every secret of yours and as well the apparent. There is nothing unseen to Allah regarding to your statements, to your utterances, your action. Nothing unseen that is hidden to Allah regarding to your situation or your thoughts. He, Allah, He is glorified and exalted, the all-knowing. Allah knows everything. He hears everything. He sees everything. He observes you. And as well, Allah is ever present. يَعْلَمُ مَا يَلِجُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. He knows what penetrates into the earth, deep down the earth. Allah knows what is in. Before that thing even come out from the earth, Allah knows what is in the earth and what is deep down the earth. Allah also, He knows وَمَا يَخْرُجُ مِنْهَا, and what comes out of the earth, Allah knows it, like crops and so many vegetation. And Allah knows what descends from the earth and what ascends thereto. and He, Allah, is with you wherever wherever you are, even if you are in the loftiest of towers. Allah knows you. Wallahu bima ta'maluna basir. He, Allah, regarding to your action, He sees everything. For that, my dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, being careful of Allah, hidden and open, it is a guarantee of integrity of the servant in his solitude or in his mother, in his private or in his privacy, wherever a person is, or in his solitude, wherever you are, even if you are alone in the secret place, Allah knows everything about us. Allah is watching you. For you to know that most of the misfortunes, indecencies, abominations, all these things are occur in a secret place where people are alone, where person is alone and alone from people watching him. When he observe that nobody is seeing him again, then his mother is determined to disobey Allah, to commit indecencies, without paying attention paying attention that Allah is watching him, Allah, the Lord of the earth, and as well the Lord of the heavens, without paying attention that Allah is watching him. As in, it's in secret that thief steal something. It's in secret, prostitutes, adulterer commit adultery. It's in it. It's in it a betrayer defraud people, and people violate Allah's sanctity. And it's in it people transgress people's honor. It's in it people advocate forgery and as well bribery and corruption. And there is no way, there is no solution to all these things except that we educate ourselves, we educate the youth, we cultivate the culture of being careful of Allah regarding to all these things, educating the youth, the teenage, regarding to this great character of the deen. It is legislated upon every servant to be conscious of Allah, hidden and open, and for him to also not determine in disobedience of Allah, for him to also know that Allah is watching him, Allah is looking at him. That is why a poet mentioned in his poem that when you are alone at any time, in any day, don't say it in your mind. Don't tell yourself that you are alone. Tell yourself that Allah is watching you. And don't think Allah is heedless. There is a time that Allah is heedless. Every time Allah is watching us. For that, my dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, we should be conscious of Allah in our secret place or in public, being alone or being in the midst of people. Be conscious of Allah. And the one whom, whenever you want to disobey Allah, you have to be shy of Allah. That yes, Allah is watching you and Allah is hearing you. Imam al-Qahtani mentioned in his poem that when you are alone and your mind is telling you that you are in a deep darkness, your heart is inviting you to transgress, to oppress, then you have to be shy of the one of Allah who is always watching you. And tell your heart that إِنَّ الَّذِي خَلَقَ الظَّلَامَ يَرَانِي. Tell your heart that the one who created the darkness is actually watching you. We ask Allah to guide us and to also grant us the supervision or the carefulness of Allah in our mind. Assalamu alaikum.